working hard. You can't make decisions or even participate if you're not allowed in the door, if you're not allowed to apply for the job you want, or make the most money you can and deserve while in that job. For those reasons and others, millions and millions of women, and also millions of men, work in what's called the shadow economy, because if there was sunlight on it, no one would think it was okay all over the world. Their work is considered unofficial, even though crops wouldn't be picked and houses wouldn't be cleaned without their hard work. They're not counted as official because they're not registered with the government and not paying taxes. There are also millions of women, if not billions, who do most of the important work taking care of their children and homes. They're also not counted as part of the labor force, even though without people doing those jobs, the world would stop. Dinners wouldn't be made, laundry wouldn't be done, and children wouldn't be cared for. Looking at the people who, in 2015, are running the biggest businesses in the world, there are few women. But, like in politics, there are more than there were 20 years ago. In 1995, there were 0 CEOs among the Fortune 500 companies, a name for the 500 largest companies in the United States. The top 10 includes names you're probably familiar with, like Walmart, Exxon, Apple, and General Motors. In 2015, 5% of the Fortune 500 had a female CEO. So yes, there are some women now in the Fortune 500 CEO ranks, just not many. One such example is Ursula Burns. She's the CEO of Xerox and the first African American woman CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Ursula started off as an intern at the company and rose to the top. I'll never forget Ursula telling me a few years ago how important the support and mentorship she got at home, in school, and at Xerox was to her success. It's why she is so committed now to mentoring young people at Xerox, particularly young women. The people who are ultimately responsible for companies and who hire the CEOs, like Ursula, are groups called boards of directors. Each company has one, and CEOs work for their company's boards. In 2009, only 10% of public company board members in wealthy countries were women. In the US, in early 2015, it's less than 20%. There are more board directors named John, Robert, James, and William than all women combined of any names. Please don't think the moral of the story here is for more babies, including girls, to be named John, Robert, James, or William. I think these statistics are particularly surprising because women are more visible in more and different types of professional settings than ever before. Think about who you see as teachers, school principals, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, or people who work in or manage department stores, grocery stores, restaurants, movie theaters, and more. Probably at least some, maybe even lots, of the professionals you see during a normal school day or weekend are women. But the people we don't see who are managing school districts, hospitals, pharmacies, department stores, restaurant chains, movie theater chains, the vast majority, are men. This is what's referred to as a leadership gap for women. Someone who's worked hard to shine a light on the women leadership gap that still exists at the top of almost every industry is one of my heroes and friends, Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg. As Sheryl and others have pointed out, there are many reasons why so few women hold corporate leadership positions. A big one is that many companies lack policies that support women who want to work and be moms. For instance, they don't give new mothers or fathers paid time off after a new baby is born so they can bond with their children and not worry about losing their jobs. Another is that women don't expect and then don't ask for more career opportunities, for more raises, for more chances to get ahead. Yet another is again the absence of positive female role models. We need more people who look like Ursula Burns or Sheryl Sandberg, and more women and men focused on mentoring young women to be the next Ursula or Sheryl, and more women believing they themselves can be the next Ursula or Sheryl. You may have heard the term glass ceiling, those barriers, like the ones listed above, that are invisible but very real in preventing women from advancing to leadership positions. Now used broadly, the term glass ceiling originated to describe what happened to many women in the workplace. Women would get hired at a law firm or at a supermarket, school, or hospital, and then they would work hard and get good reviews, the equivalent of straight A's, but then they wouldn't get the same raises men in the same jobs would receive. They wouldn't get promoted to jobs with more responsibilities at the same rate as men. Even relatively less qualified men, think of someone with B's getting all the awards rather than the person who got A's. Not fair, but still all too common, even in the United States. There's not just a leadership gap, many more men than women in power, but there's also a pay gap, what it sounds like. Men earning more, at least in part because they're men. In the US, women earn 78 cents for every $1 men earn. That compares all women who work full-time with all men who work full-time. Critics of that comparison say it doesn't take into account things like different types of jobs or different levels of education or age. While that's true, it's also true that economists and others who study the pay gap think a significant chunk comes from gender discrimination. That means women are paid less because they're women, and for women with the most education, the pay gap is the largest. Although things have gotten better in the past few decades, a recent report said At the current rate of progress, the pay gap wouldn't close until 2058. That's 43 years away, and literally a lifetime from now. You will be in your 50s before women are earning the same as our husbands, friends, and even our sons